Hi, I'm Valerie Espinosa, and I'd like to welcome you back to another edition of our program that we just started back up in 2013. Our program is called Consumer Advocacy, and we are here interviewing today with a friend of ours from Taos County who has taken the time to come out of his way and his busy schedule to interview with us today. So thank you, Luis Reyes.
Thanks for having me here. I'm ready to talk to you about what's happening in Taos and Carson Electric.
Great. Well, you know, just yesterday, we met with city councilors and representatives of the county and state and our department at the PRC to talk about community solar. And because we'll get into that after, but one of the topics I do want to talk about is community solar and how we're trying to implement that here and encourage it. But your name came up yesterday, and my goodness, you should have a big head after we get done with this program, because your county is a role in establishing community solar, and I've been there a time or two, and I'll be traveling back there to visit your site there at the Taos Charter School.
Yes.
So, Luis, let's talk about your title. You're the CEO of Carson Electric. And as you know, we have a lot of issues before the PRC. And so this program transpired from one I've been doing for about 9 years. It had to do with either interviewing county elected officials or state elected officials, just to inform the public of what we're doing in our respective positions. So we've transferred our program over, and now it's we're doing it as it relates to the Public Regulation Commissioner. And I've been the Public Regulation Commissioner, as you're aware, for the last few months.
Right. Yeah.
And so there's many things, before us, including, rates, and you deal a lot with regulatory agencies. So let's talk about, again, go back to the solar, but first let's talk about you and how you got involved in the business.
Yeah, myself, I'm a native of Taos. I grew up in Taos and went to New Mexico Military Institute, and then got my electrical engineering degree at New Mexico State. And was just really fortunate enough to get a job back at Kit Carson, primarily as an electrical engineer. And I did that for eight and a half years, and then the board selected me to be their general manager, CEO, for the past 21 years.
I thought you were 21.
Well, sometimes I feel that, and sometimes I feel much older after a long day at the office. But since I've been there, the co-op really has expanded. Today, Commissioner, we have a propane company, we have an internet company, we have a solar division, and one of the, besides the solar, one of the big projects we're doing is broadband, fiber to every home and business that we serve in Taos, parts of Rio Arriba and Colfax County. So we've really diversified access to the members of Kit Carson in those three counties to different services that they probably wouldn't get if it wasn't for the electric co-op and what they do for the community.
I know that the fiber optics lines or your broadband has been a big issue, and we read about it a lot. Can you tell me how you were able to garner the funding and actually expand the service?
Well, back in 2000, our members and the co-op, electric co-ops are governed by their members. So
that's the difference between
that's the difference
utility.
Between them and, let's say, a public service in New Mexico, where our board members are elected from the people they serve. So, and I think that's an important distinction, because whatever we do as a board and as governance, we affect ourselves as well as the members, and also whatever the members want us to do within the laws of the state of New Mexico, we do. So, 2000, they asked us to get into internet, propane, economic development, actually gas stations, to core up some of the issues that were happening there in Taos and Cuesta, Peñasco, the surrounding areas. So we got into the internet business and have been an internet service provider for about 12 years. In 2009, when the Obama administration brought out the stimulus, we actually had a community meeting with our members, with other stakeholders, the town of Taos, all the municipalities, University of New Mexico, to determine, should we go after money, and if we should, what it gives us the biggest bang for our buck. And it turned out that solar and broadband were the two issues that our members wanted us to pursue. And based on that membership confidence and vote, we actually applied for stimulus monies. And we actually, it took us 3 tries. We were actually denied the first 2 times. The third time we were finally awarded a $64 million award.
Outstanding.
$44 million grant and $19 million loan. And it was to bring high-speed services to every home and business to people we serve. Commissioner, when it's complete, it will be the fastest network in the Southwest. Our people will be able to compete with Albuquerque, Denver, Phoenix. And if you think about it, every home and business who wants high-speed internet will be able to get it, whether you live in the kind of in the boonies or you live right in the middle of town. Where today's model, if you live in the city, you may get it. If you live in the outlying areas, you may not get it. So I think the other thing that the board of Kit Carson wants to do is create a model that other rural and small communities could utilize, such as Santa Fe. You know, Santa Fe, for the longest time, as I have followed their broadband and high-speed chase, has been not very successful in getting a internet or a fiber system built here. And so we're hoping with the model that we create that you can replicate that in other New Mexico towns, because I think it really does enhance the quality of life. Whether it's just getting on the internet, whether it's for medical purposes, educational purposes, emergency services, we believe that the future of our economy is going to be supported by technology, broadband-based technology. So I'll give you an example. We're working with Taos Ski Valley to run fiber up there. One of the reasons they want high-speed connectivity is there's still a desire after people have skied all day, or at lunch or before they have a drink,
to access their
to check their
internet.
email and check their iPhone or their iPad.
What did we do in the past without our cell phones or our internet capability?
I think we lived much longer and had a less stressful life. But given that we don't want to miss anything today, whether it's a call from our kids or
That's right, it's real time.
A call from our office or know what happened at the PRC, and you can access that through your iPhone, iPad, any of those devices. With a high-speed network, you can do that anywhere now in our territory. So,
which areas do you serve? Did you say Espanola? And
we serve up to Ojo Caliente, El Rito to the west. We serve Colfax County up to Ute Park, so Angel Fire, Eagle Nest. We serve the Enchanted Circle. We are partnered with ReadyNet, who goes right through Espanola, and we do operate their network, their fiber network.
So what's the company that you operate out of Kit Carson for the broadband?
Kit Carson Telecom. And so we have separate companies for our propane and for our telecom. But we think going forward, this is probably one of the biggest projects to occur in New Mexico, not just because of the short-term jobs. 300 jobs have been created in constructing it, but the long-term benefits to all sectors of the way we live today.
Especially the schools.
School systems, you can get into distance learning, real-time learning, so you could actually get your degree while you're in Peñasco. You can get a degree from UNM. Not that that technology isn't there today, but it really isn't accessible to rural people.
Is it less costly?
It will be less costly. Under the co-op model, we're not really rate of return driven. We need enough to pay our debt, make sure we take care of our employees, and to upgrade the infrastructure. But any profit we make after that, we give back to our members.
That's right.
And
I remember being a member of the co-op, and I used to get, I think, is it once a year you get?
Yeah, you get a capital credit. And
right.
So we're incentivized really to enhance the quality of life in the co-op areas we serve versus count how much money we made at the end of the day. And again, we're not opposed to those investor owners that do that, but our model is completely different. And so at the end of the day, we call it a success if we've made the rural people's life just a little bit better for that day, regardless of what service we made. We actually even have a third party call center that we under economic development that we worked with the leaders of the Enchanted Circle, the mayors and counties.
How about the pueblos? I remember when I was listening to the issues on the trail, many of the pueblos felt that they needed access to
You,
these
you know,
services.
we've been fortunate. We have a great relationship with Taos Pueblo and Picuris Pueblo. In fact, the next project that we do in our broadband, starting up now April 15th, we had to kind of slow down for the winter time, is Taos Pueblo. And again, we're hoping to give Taos Pueblo the tools to create another economic engine tied to technology. It just isn't gaming or isn't just tourism, but there's other things that they can empower tribal people to do to become entrepreneurs, because now you have a high-speed network where you can live in Taos and transport your goods, your intellect to anywhere in the world, but you're able to stay at home. So what we're doing is giving tools to people, tools to pueblos, tools to schools, really for them to be innovative and make it better for themselves. And I think in us giving back, then we kind of break down some of the things that are happening in rural areas where our young kids are leaving to go to big cities because there's no opportunities. But they do like Taos. And I think we've all gone through that. After college, we want to go and live in the city just to live the fast life for a while.
But you always come home.
But you always want to come home.
Like you did.
We always want to come home. And when we come home, I think we still want that quality of life for ourselves and for our families and our kids. And also being selfish, we want them to stay there. We want to see our grandkids grow up and be part of their lives every day, just not for holidays. But again, technology even makes that closer, because today, with technology, you can, through FaceTime or Skype, if your family's across the country, you can actually see them real time if you have the high-speed network to support it. And so it really makes the world smaller, but it gives us opportunities. And the broadband actually, Commissioner, is going to help us with our solar. You mentioned we have community solar, and that's one of our newest programs that has really taken off. But I think what's missed with Kit Carson is today we have about 4% of our energy is purchased from solar resources that we've built. Kit Carson has about 6,000 kW of solar power, which according to the size of a house in Taos, we can probably serve 3,000 homes. Today, on a day like today, where it's sunny, all the homes north of Cuesta to the Colorado border are being served by the sun.
Do they have to install
No, we have
PV, or is it through?
We have a central plant. It's tied into our electric system, and today we're supplying the power to Cuesta High School, to the grocery store, to the gas station.
And this means less cost to the consumer?
Exactly. In the long run, less cost. Solar is more expensive up front, but over time it's less. But I think it gives us that sense of independence, that the power that we're generating is in our backyard, we can see it, and it belongs to us. And we're not dependent on it coming from miles, hundreds of miles away.
Who had the vision back then to start this up?
I think places like Taos and Santa Fe, you have so many smart people. I think the credit goes to the board in getting all the visionaries in a room.
Because you are the model.
And then getting, I think part of our success is we listen to our members. And it's not that we don't sometimes have a disagreement with our members, but for most projects we listen to them, and once you've listened and can figure out a way to accomplish what they want and share that vision and share that goal, then it's easy to attain those goals.
So initially, how did it start, and how did how do people benefit from this, and how long have you been set up at the charter school? And just tell us how it worked.
Solar altogether, I think that's one of the things that I had personally wanted. In growing up in Taos, you're exposed to sustainable type of living, and so I was in a position, being the CEO of the co-op, to now take that dream into action. So we actually went and competed nationally for a clean renewable energy bond. And again, we were the only co-op in New Mexico, any entity in New Mexico, to win a $5 million award. And with that award, then we built a solar plant at the University of New Mexico Taos, at the co-op, at a solar-powered radio station, and at
I saw that.
and at Echo Park, soccer field where it's everything is good for the environment.
It's a matter of finding a suitable place, a location.
We try to use schools and public places so that people could all benefit, so the entire public can benefit from the electricity that's generated. We like schools because we want solar to be the rule, not the exception. And so every day that, whether they're college kids or elementary kids, we have a solar facility at the Peñasco Elementary. And one of the best pictures, Commissioners, is having 6 and 7 years olds playing on the jungle gym with the solar in the background and Taos Mountain in the background of that. And so they're getting their power, and the kids are playing with the backdrop of solar that's now part of their everyday life. So as they grow up to become our leaders in our community, that becomes an everyday issue. You know, it's kind of, their questions are, why don't more people have solar? And we think it's going to come down in price. So what we did is we actually just got a group of members, about 50 members from the co-op, and says, okay, we want to now go, how do we get solar to more people? We spent our money, we got it at these different locations. We got Chevron we're a partner with Chevron. They built.
Do you need buy-in from the utility?
I think that works. If you get buy-in from the utility, and so we got buy-in from Kit Carson. I think if you have buy-in from the utility, these projects, if you get buy-in from the utility, you don't need mandates, because then you do what your members and your customers want.
That would have led me to the next question. You don't have a mandate to meet,
you
or
know,
do you?
The
as a co-op?
Co-ops do. We have 5 and 10%. Today we're at 6.
But can you exceed that?
Yeah, we're already at 6%, and the mandate doesn't take into account doesn't take place until 2015.
Right.
So we have 2 years. We do it because we think it's the right thing to do. We think when you look at power, it's good to diversify. Our members want it, and you have to look at the cost of power over a long period of time. And so we believe that over 5, 10, 15 years, the cost of solar is going to be as cheap or cheaper than the power we get today. The other thing I think Kit Carson's board recognizes, people aren't dumb. They know at night there's no sun, and they know when it snows there's no sun. So then we have an electric grid that serves as the battery and backs it up. So we try to deflect those, what I call kind of nonsense type of questions of, well, what do you do at night? Well, you use the Kit Carson grid, and then in about 9, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, you go to sleep. And at that point, you're not even concerned about electricity. And so the next step was, after we got all this solar in, how do we make solar affordable to teachers and to police officers and to utility workers, and just really the common people who really make our life better? But unfortunately, they're not paid as much as CEOs of, let's say, the co-op. And so we came up with this community solar idea, where we would build a community solar at a public location, and in this case a school, and then people would be able to buy panels or rent panels within their budget. And then we also got a bank to finance it, so that we could even make these over time, and then the co-op gives them a credit on their bill based on how much energy they utilize.
It's measured by how much they use, or?
Well, how much that panel generates. So the other thing we've done is that we put it at a central location, so someone may live in Ojo Caliente, 60 miles from the panel, but if they buy a part of, kind of a piece of the rock, they still get the credit. But it goes to that co-op community. It doesn't matter where you live, we all share in the resources, we share in the benefits and in the successes. But I think the more important thing is it gives the ability for everybody to afford it who want it. And if you don't want solar, if renewable energy isn't part of your thought process, or you think it's not good,
you don't force it on anyone.
Yeah, we respect that. We don't force that on you. that's fine.
I think what we're trying to do is encourage usage, but
Exactly, we encourage it, but again, in a co-op democratic system, there's some people who like it, and there's some people who don't. If you can come up with a win-win solution to make sure the people who want it, you make it affordable, and the people who don't want it, they're not subsidizing it, that's a win-win. And so, really, the biggest problem we have now is we have so much demand, we're not sure if we can keep up with it.
I'll be.
And then we're limited by...
That's unusual.
Yeah, it really is for solar, and we're limited then by our contracts we have with our power supplier of how much we can build. So there are some limitations, and we continue to work with them to see if there's ways in which we can make sure that the contracts that we have when we buy our power are flexible enough to address the local issues that just, they just don't offer power. But when you build them, that's an economic development tool. So someone had to build them. Our board has pushed for it to be local people. So during the time of construction, local people are working. Local people maintain the system. The local school gets the benefit of the power. So we're really trying to create a sense of pride within the community that we have become a model and leaders of these technologies.
In the state?
Yeah, that other people talk about.
Are you the only co-op that's actually proven that this can be done, and you're engaging in the process, or are there other
Well, currently
co-ops?
we're the only co-op that has community solar. There are other progressive co-ops that are, as the price of solar comes down, are starting to build. And I believe, Commissioner, that in 2013, 2014, other co-ops will start to build, because the economies now are it's very, very competitive. And I think we've broken down the thought that besides solar being expensive, solar doesn't work. We've been operating solar arrays since 2008. We have 3 of the largest arrays in northern New Mexico. We have the largest arrays of any co-op in New Mexico. A couple of years ago, we were ranked 2nd nationally in production. And,
nationally?
Nationally. And the only problem we've had with our arrays is we had someone try to steal 6 panels. But I think they got too heavy to carry about half a mile. But outside of that, it's been a great success. And again, we're trying to replicate a model that the Santa Fe school system could use at its elementary schools. The city of Santa Fe could use at its city hall. In fact, the town of Taos, we assisted the town of Taos at City Hall. They have a 50 kW array on the top of the roof of the town of Taos. They have a 50 kW array at the sewer plant
That's
in
what I was going to
Taos.
ask you. You see them at waste disposal sites mainly.
Well, and I think this one for City Hall is right off the plaza, so it's right in the middle of town. Taos High School has an array. Peñasco Independent Schools has an array. So it's becoming more, like I said, it's becoming more the rule than the exception. And again, if we can replicate that in Taos, and we're willing to share how that works and we can do that here in Santa Fe. And we've had great support with the PRC on making it easier for us to build it. In the past, there was always a push that this was not good. But with the new PRC, they've been very supportive on building renewable energy, or allowing co-ops to build it when their members want it.
And encourage it.
And encourage
at
it.
the same time. And
Yes.
I'm really impressed with not only your background, your resume, but your initiatives towards making your community a better place. And so I can see why when people come to meet with us or with me in my office about community, not only community solar, but other, your name pops up all the time. You're an example altogether, you and Bobby and Ortega and your board on your initiatives. And I'm really impressed that you take the time to come to the office to meet with me to, express your concerns and your other board members. And, it's good to have a dialogue between different communities throughout the state, especially now in the business we're in. We want to make it a better community for everybody involved.
For everybody. And I think what this economic downturn, I think taught all of us, is that really to survive, the local communities are going to have to band together and put their resources together to survive. we have to get in a mindset that we can't continue to count on capital outlay from Santa Fe or from DC all the time. Not saying that we don't go and chase it down, but I think the model we're trying to create is being more self-sustaining. And I think when you do that, you feel better about what you've done, and there's more pride in the community because you have a lot of buy-in. And so people do tout our projects as their projects, which is exactly what we wanted. At the end of the day, Kit Carson just needs to kind of float to the background because it's the members' solar array, it's the members' broadband, it's the members' propane company. And they're proud of that because, again, no other community has been able to create this model. And
how many members do you serve? Does the co-op serve in terms of?
Well, we have 29,000 electric customers. We have a little under 4,000 propane, and about 2,500 internet customers. So we have about 36, 37 customers.
And board members? How many board members?
We have 11 board members.
And those are elected?
They're elected from the members. And so...
All others?
I think the model's great, just almost like a city council or a county commission, because whatever those governing boards impose on the constituency, they have to live with. And so there's more thought when you have to raise electric rates, because you're raising them just not on the people, constituents, but you're raising them on friends and family, on yourself. And so there is much more thought. I think there's much more consideration in rural areas for the poor and the low income. And so it is a balancing act, and it gets tough, but that's what the members want. And the model really does work. I mean, it really does work.
And you do a good job of governing that body and being the CEO and moving the...
Well, it's like, getting 11 people with 11 different views of how things should work is always a challenge. And I think what we've been able to do is let's set the goal that 11 of us can agree on, knowing that there may be 11 paths, and then let's figure out how we get to that end goal that we all agree on.
And it's too bad it has to be political on one hand, because you're elected and it gets very contentious.
Right, and I think with there's politics and everything. When I first started, I was one that says, why is there so much politics? After 20 years, 21 years, I think it's how you manage the politics, knowing that everyone does have their constituency, and they do have to listen to their people back in their districts, which may differ from other districts.
Well, I want to thank you for being here, and we have so many things that we didn't get to, but I'd like for you to come back, and I look forward to working with you in the future and following, your lead and your guidance, and as we move forward with our different efforts here in Santa Fe.
Well, we appreciate the support that you've given us at the PRC, and really the support even after that. You were one of the elected officials from Santa Fe that always came to visit Taos and made us feel that we were part of Santa Fe.
And I'm coming back, so I have a tour set up. So with that, I want to thank you again for traveling here and being with us today, all the way from Taos.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for your information. That's why we have this program. If you'd like to appear on our program, please give me a call at 827-4533. Thank you for watching.